Welcome to No Stone Unturned, the Savills podcast where we explore the innovations that are reshaping Dutch real estate in challenging times. With increasing pressure on the electricity grid, energy independence is becoming a critical factor for real estate development. But is it worth the investment? In this episode, we explore the financial and operational trade-offs of energy self-sufficiency in real estate. My guests of today are Kees Noorman, Director of Business Association ORAM, and Sanne Castro, Manager of Advisory at Joulz. Together, we will explore how to face the challenges posed by grid congestion. Stay tuned to discover what creative solutions are already proven concepts. This is No Stone Unturned by Savills. Kees, welcome. Let's start with you. You are the director of ORAM, or Ondernemend Amsterdam. Can you tell us a bit more about ORAM?
Yes, ORAM is the largest business association in the Amsterdam area. We have a firm basis in the port and industry community. I think all the port companies and industries are member of my association. We are an association that has a mission to create a good business and investment environment for our companies, our members.
And I can imagine that grid congestion is an important part of that business climate nowadays.
Yeah, that's horrible. I think it's top of mind of a lot of CEOs of companies in the metropolitan area because we're full. There's no new electricity, and that's very important to make a solution for this issue.
And of course, you talk about this topic with businesses, I think, on a daily basis. So it's very good that you're here today to not only share
and not only with businesses, but also with of course the municipality and the province and the national government, because this is a huge issue which is not only local but it's on every level.
Yeah. And Sanne, you work at Joulz and you work on projects throughout the Netherlands that look at solutions for grid congestion. Can you tell us a little bit more about your job?
Yeah, of course. Well, traditionally, we just connected our customers to the grid and there was power, there was capacity. And since like 4 or 5 years ago, grid congestion became a huge problem in the Netherlands and has grown and grown and grown. And now almost nowhere you can get a new connection or an increase of your connection capacity. So we have developed complete pack of solutions for our customers to have more power, even if it can't be provided by the grid. Something they can rely on, something they can build their business on. So it's a daily puzzle together with our customers to get enough capacity for them to grow their business.
So this challenge actually changed your entire business model?
Yeah, it put another business model on top of our existing business model, you could say. And also we learned a lot in this whole transition about what they actually do with their power. Because in the old days, you need not to know what they did. You just connected them to the grid and that worked.
And your job was done.
Job done. But now you have to understand, when do you need the power, what for, how critical is it, do we need backup power, and all these kind of...
At what times.
At what times. So it's become way more interesting to work from this perspective and work together with our clients to see what they need.
And Kees, you mentioned, there's a complete sort of shortage of, there's no power connection available in Amsterdam. But you have found creative ways for companies that are looking for that source of energy. How did you go about it?
Yeah, it's a sobering experience, I think, if you look at the lack of data companies actually have about their own energy use. But also the authorities, they really don't have precise data on who is using what at what moment. So we're at the moment, everybody is looking for the data to make the right investment. But also we see, and maybe we talked about this later, we see that a lot of companies are trying to join each other in trying to combine their own usage in sense that some people use on a Monday, another on a Tuesday. Why not combine it so that if you combine it, that you make a better efficient use of the energy?
So when you are looking at it, it might seem that the grid is full or the capacity is all used up. But if you actually look more deeply into what the companies are using, there is capacity.
Yes, there's a lot of capacity hidden inside the grid. And that's a search. This search for the hidden capacity in the grid, and I think Joulz is finding solutions for it. But also in the Port of Amsterdam, we are also making a combination or cooperation of companies trying to look for this hidden energy, which is actually there.
And are these companies willing to, for instance, share their data to find these hidden capacity?
Of course, you have also somebody who has to give a little bit, and somebody has taken a little bit, and that's a solidarity issue.
Yeah.
And I think one of the issues we have to address with each other is: are we willing to combine and take a risk, but also make the system better? But some companies, most companies are part of multinational companies, I think, which makes it a little bit difficult to be solidarity with companies in the area. But I think, in general, people are basically motivated to combine.
And is this something you also look at Joulz, this hidden capacity, so to speak?
Definitely. So we try to collect as much data as we can. We are also a metering company, and we try to understand this data, but also future predictions. And we talk to the grid operator, what is there, what is available. And we try to combine this into a solution area where we find sometimes that there is hidden capacity all of the time, which is great. Then everybody can move forward with metering, with energy management systems. But also sometimes we find that it's just a couple of hours a year, or it's a couple of months that you need to bridge, and you need to make solutions only for that part and not for the entire year, for example. So you try to find what is there and build on that.
And how does that actually work in practice? So if you want to find ways, for instance, in logistics hub or something, how do you find ways to optimize the use of the grid?
So what we do, for example, when we create an energy hub, that is when multiple companies combine together their sources. Then you look at what Kees just said, how you can, for example, use the solar energy from one roof and put that in the battery of the neighbor, and then maybe give it back during the night. Or you combine and have one operator like Joulz provide energy as a service, where we store everything, provide generators, and then for everyone make sure that they can fit their profile within what we can offer. So it is, I would say, a joint design solution. You do it together with all the companies because they understand their own process, they understand their own needs. And also their future needs, because you can't get that out of metering data. So you have to talk to one another and understand, okay, I want to go there. For example, I want to charge trucks during the night. Another company says, well, I'm closing down during the night. So maybe you can use my power during the night. And then you combine this data, talk to the grid operator and see what's possible.
Sounds like it's also really about sort of changing behavior or company behavior. I saw there is I'm thinking about it now, like for a consumer campaign at the moment, asking people to not use power on peak hours. Yep. Is there sort of campaigns like that going on in business parks in the ORAM region?
I don't think you have to campaign for it. I think people are actually thinking about it at the moment. But there's something I would like to address, because what we are doing now at Schiphol, but also in the Port of Amsterdam, is create virtual environments and try to create some kind of stability inside the virtual environment. And this is really new. These are pilots, because the big grid parties that are like Alliander, they're not allowed by law to do these kind of things.
Netherlands,
in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So the fact that we're in this situation now is that the law didn't allow these companies to invest without having contracts. So they were organized around one contract, one building, one client. And now we are asking them to organize around groups or areas, and they're not used to this. And also the law does not agree this. So we have to make new laws, which is time consuming, But we really need to do it because of the sustainability effort we have to do. Like industry, a lot of gas is used. We have to go to electricity. The cars are going on electricity. If this system it takes too long to create new systems, the sustainability will go down, but also our electrification programs will go down also. There's a big pressure on this.
Yeah, because I also think, there are a lot of creative solutions out there in terms of energy hubs or self-sufficiency with solar panels or batteries or... there are lots of solutions, but that's not like a systematic solution to the problem. So maybe that's like for an acute problem now, because otherwise you cannot start a development or a building that's already developed. Put it into use.
I think actually this could be part of the solution. What we saw in the past is underinvestment in the grid, where we were too late to invest and accommodate all the energy transition. But
and then who is we?
We is the people, including the grid operators and the government. The grid operators were too late in investing, but they might overinvest in the coming decades, and we all have to pay for this. So we have to mind that. And I think we'll go from a state of grid congestion to a state of capacity management. So in the future, capacity management will be just part of the solution. We have to control the peak powers, keep the most energy that we generate within the area and not transport too much over too long distance. And for this, energy hubs and also behind-the-meter solutions, microgrids for companies are essential to keep all the power that they generate with wind or with solar within the building or within the general area and use it there where it's generated and not transport it too much. And in this way, actually, energy hubs can really help to reduce the investment that we need to do in the grid by tens or even hundreds of billions, which is a bill that we collectively have to pay with all the companies and all the households. So I would say it's here to stay.
And maybe it's good for the audience to take a sort of concrete example of Schiphol Trade Park.
Yeah.
You're both, I think, aware of this project and involved. There, all the companies have agreed to work together, right? How did that? Is that a success? Is it already working?
So 4.5 years ago, that's where they first learned, I think in the Netherlands even, that there was grid congestion. Companies already ordered the entire buildings, had tenants ready to
move in.
And at first, we and also others developed solutions for those single buildings. But then immediately also we started discussing with the Schiphol Area Development Company and with the companies there, this is not the way forward. We're not going to put a battery and a generator and an energy management system in every single building. Yes, we're going to put all the roofs full with solar panels. That would be a great idea, and we did that. But we eventually made the single site solutions, opened them up for the entire area. So that meant that instead of having 10 generators, we have 5. And instead of having them running thousands of hours a year, they run a couple of hours a year. And that's because we keep all of the area, the power that's generated in the area in the batteries, and we maximize the grid. We use it to its maximum because
potential.
We can fully control it. And that's great for the companies, but it's also great for the grid operator because they have certainty. Normally, they give out 10 contracts and just have to hope that companies will use energy at a different time, because otherwise, if everyone uses it at the same time at max capacity, they don't have that. So they give more contract capacity than they actually have. And now with a group, they can actually control. They can say, okay, this is your group limit. And it's much more predictable for the grid operator as well, which saves also costs for society.
And Kees, you're also busy within ORAM to find creative ways to maximize the usage of the grid. What ways are you mainly, what routes are you mainly taking?
Yeah, we are collectively with the Port of Amsterdam. We created a cooperation called ECA, Energy Corporation Port of Amsterdam. And like I explained, this is basically a virtual place where all the corporate members, which are the factories in the Port of Amsterdam, are member and try to collectively share their data around energy in order to make the grid more efficient. And there are 3 layers in this grid. One is the current grid, so hopefully making it more efficient. All the companies can use...
Spotting that hidden capacity.
Use the hidden capacity. We don't need extra stuff. But in order to make it more sure, because companies want to have some kind of security on the performance and their execution, is if there's a need for extra energy, then we have this huge battery system, which is loaded by sunlight during the daytime with energy that is not used during the daytime. And if the battery is not sufficient, then we actually, but that is the last resort, is we can go generator.
Yeah.
But I must say that the backup plan. But the first layer is working quite good at the moment, and maybe these are the solutions for the future. But if I look at the investment community, looking at the Port of Amsterdam and the North Sea Channel area as an investment area, this is an issue, because certainty of electricity and an effective grid is, I think, a key element for the investment decision.
Yeah, and that is of course also a big part of the listeners of this podcast are real estate investors. I think it would be nice now, because every episode I give colleagues and clients the opportunity to ask you questions. And of course, they are looking more from also from an occupier perspective. Some of my colleagues advise occupiers, of course, but also from an investor perspective. So let's maybe dive into those questions to look at this problem from a problem and the solutions from an investment perspective.
Hi, my name is Joe Lloyd, and I work with the Savills Rural Research Team in the UK. In our research, we found that real estate is no longer simply a consumer of energy. It has the ability to, first of all, generate its own electricity through renewable assets like solar. It has the ability to store that energy through battery assets, for example, and it's also becoming a lot more flexible on the demand side too. I'm curious how far along the Netherlands is in embracing this move to a more active role for real estate in the energy system, as well as what we can also learn from each other. Thank you very much, and I really look forward to hearing your answer.
Yeah, I think we're really far, actually. The customers that we speak to see solar as standard, at least to accommodate their own profile, generally also to get the highest BREEAM standard for their buildings, and sometimes even more. For future proving the building, also for real estate investors. It makes the property more valuable. It's also very common to have a battery with the building as well. And we also see that management of the building energy consumption is becoming more standard as well. I think there we could develop more, but it's less common to just use whatever you want. It doesn't happen a lot anymore. You see that they really try to optimize the building system as well. I think the next step that we are gonna have to take is also store heat in maybe heat batteries, so that you can also spread out the consumption of heat over a longer period. So this is, I think, the next challenge that we can bridge.
I have a more worrying answer on this question. Because I think it's absolutely necessary to invest all money you have in your building in order not to make use of the grid capacity too much, because of the lack of grid capacity that will grow, the need for grid capacity, these are long lines. These are really planning issues that they take a long time. So if you look at the entire Netherlands, we'll have to get all new lines, all new grids everywhere. That will take 30, 40 years, and the demand will rise. So as a building owner, I would say, make your building as self-sufficient as possible. Not only because your clients will like it, and it will probably reduce your bill, but your need for getting energy from other sources will be reduced, and there's your risk getting lower. The other is, I think that if you look at the government at the moment and their activities, they're not active enough. We're giving all the smoke signals and all the signals. Please come to our help. Make solutions. Go invest. Go and make. And that's not happening at the moment. So in the Netherlands, I would say, to take the technical road, be as efficient as possible and efficient, but please do not expect that the infrastructure will be better in the coming years.
And you talked earlier about, of course, there are companies in the region region where you're active in that are Dutch or domestic, and you have international foreign companies. How do you explain this situation to them? Because this might not be similar in other countries where they are located.
Well, the strange thing is that a lot of investors think that in the Netherlands everything is perfect.
Well arranged. Yeah.
So we have, of course, the need for drinking water or energy water, which is becoming an hazard at the moment, but also energy. So energy congestion is usually a shock for a lot of people, that we're not able to get the energy to the places. It's not about the energy itself. It's about the grid. The grid is insufficient. And I think a lot of investors are surprised that the Netherlands don't have their act together on this.
It's also quite a recent sort of surface of this problem, because if I look at discussions, for instance, I take Provada, the annual real estate fair in Amsterdam, as a sort of point in time. 2-3 years ago, this was not a topic at the Provada fair. There were no knowledge sessions around it. Or this year, when I look at the program, then this is one of the key topics. Why has this challenge only resurfaced quite recently?
So the grid congestion was a discussion in the year 2000 already.
Yeah. But not within the real estate world.
Because we had enough, but we saw it coming. Mm-hmm. Only I think that's the democracy of 4 years in reign, and then we have the elections. Everybody thinks, well, we'll take it to the next, and we take it to the next. And the moment it surfaces, it's like this enormous growth. The moment it surfaces, you're actually too late, and then you're running behind. So we're running behind. So we have to put our act together and really be more active on this issue.
We also have a question from a colleague.
Hi, my name is Esley Burgraaf and I work at the Property Management Department at Savills. My question is, are off-grid solutions worth the investment? What are the financial and operational trade-offs for real estate investors?
I would say, let's start with the bad news, is that local investments in your energy security are quite costly. You have to make significant investments to make sure that your building can operate under all circumstances and all weather scenarios and all the predictions that your tenant will do about their energy use. Which is more costly than relying on the group of Western Europe to do that, where you can work in larger energy generation capacities. So having your local energy hub, or even for your own building, is more costly than doing it as a
larger
region.
scale. Yeah.
So let's start with that. But the flip side is that it can provide more energy security. It can also provide for a higher level of use of your own solar energy, for example, which will help your business case, but also help your environmental impact and all the reporting related to that. So we also see that eventually most of the buildings that first encounter grid congestion eventually end up with a very good BREEAM scoring, for example, BREEAM Outstanding or BREEAM Excellent, and also being regarded by investors and funds as really good investments because they have their own energy security for the foreseeable
risk
future.
Is low.
The risk is low. So the cost might be higher, but the risk is lower. So eventually the business case for property developers can be really good. And that's what we've seen. For example, Schiphol Trade Park, that most of these properties are very well regarded and have a good business case for the investor. So it can turn out good even if the first news is, oh, I have to spend more. And some of the costs can also be borne by the tenant, of course, because if you provide solar energy by putting a lot of solar panels on the roof, they will be willing to pay for the energy that comes out of that. And some of the energy security they're also willing to pay for. So in the end, it can work out well, but it can be tough to get there.
And Sanne, I know that Joulz usually works with lease-based solutions for the energy infrastructure. I can imagine that for a long-term, an investor with a long-term horizon, that would be fine. But of course, there are also more value-add category investors looking at investing in real estate. And for those investors with those shorter hold periods, how do you address that tension? Because it might be difficult to match with their sort of investment strategy.
Yeah, well, we saw that, and I think in the past we have been too strict with that. Looking from our own perspective, our own mandate to invest in these kind of solutions. And also because we have the vision, and that still stands, that you have to maintain these things for these assets for even a decade sometimes, and optimize them, make sure that they really work, because that's what people depend on for their operation. So that was the initial view. Mm-hmm. But we also see that some of our partners also want to co-invest. So especially for partners, we made a model that makes it possible to co-invest. So it depends. We really look at how also the investor is structured. And if needed, we can adapt to that.
We have another question from a colleague.
Hi, my name is Wout van der Genold. I work as a market intelligence analyst at Savills here in the Netherlands. My question for you is, why should investors invest in self-sustained power sources?
If you want to be sure about your future, have a lower risk, that's what you do. You have to take it in your own hand. I think Kees quite well explained that you can't really rely on the grid, on the government to change this really quick. Even if everyone wants it now in the Netherlands, even if the government wants it, even if the grid operator wants it, it will take decades to solve this problem. There's planning issues. There's also issues with supply chain, with people. So this will not be resolved overnight. So if you want to control your future, you have to do something.
Yeah, for an industry, this is difficult because extra investments, they will always be measured out on level playing field towards their competitors abroad, usually always abroad. So the level playing field is not the Dutch situation or the Dutch local situation towards another Dutch situation, but the situation here towards other industries abroad. And what we see now is all these extra expenses basically lead to no new turnover. And so the business case is very difficult for these companies. And so you really need to be here to do the investments. And if you can be somewhere else, and that's what we see at the moment, is that the investments will go to other countries. And so we really have to be specific as what is the added value of you being here at this area. What can you...
It's really impacting the business climate.
Oh yes, this is a very important issue. Very important issue because it will stay with us for a long time. We see that in the Netherlands, especially in the Amsterdam port, 2034, that's the first new energy transformation system will be ready. And that's when the new company can come here, or the companies can execute on their sustainability programs. 2034. Well, this is too long. And we see that a lot of companies will reduce their investments in this area because they say, well, you cannot wait for this.
And I'm afraid by 2034, those new capacities will also be
gone.
Full already.
Yes. Yeah.
Or even before that time.
That's the grim.
Yeah.
It's a grim image,
yeah.
But yeah.
And that will sort of also impact the real estate industry because if less businesses are going to locate here, then...
Yeah. So it's not only... And that's, I think, a typical thing for the real estate business is they think the real estate business is very important, but it's always something else that has to pay for the real estate business. So we have to look at the big picture, and I think we're in trouble.
Well, I don't want us to end on a totally grim note.
I would say maybe some positive to say there. Even in this situation, you can start small. So you don't have to really include all the 60 parties. Start with your neighbor. If you have 2 people that can collaborate, start with those. And then you have your energy hub, and then let others join when you've proven that you're a success. So don't let distract you too much.
A better world starts with yourself. You know, the Dutch saying,
also
it still works.
A better world for yourself also starts with yourself there.
Yeah, which is true.
I want to wrap this up. I always try to summarize an episode in 3 key takeaways, but you can correct me if you want to add another one or change one. But I think one of the first things that comes into my mind about this conversation is to think outside the meter box, to be creative, to work together, like the energy hubs or the shared energy planning, and then that can unlock capacity that doesn't seem to be there on paper. The second key takeaway, especially for our listeners, is that investing in self-sufficiency pays off. Maybe the investment on the first hand might be substantial, but in the long term, for the long-term value of the property, the appeal to occupiers, it is making it more reliant. And then the third one is, we need a little Dutch courage and also the collaboration and the coordination. And I think that's, listeners like developers and investors and occupiers, but also governments, everyone involved in removing these roadblocks. And also I think we talked about a couple of pilot projects, some more further along than others. But for instance, the heat may be more in a pilot stage. We also need that collaboration to make these pilots scalable. Well, thank you both, Kees and Sanne, for sharing your insights on this podcast. And thank you for listening. And also thank you for listening to our audience. The next episode really follows nicely onto this one, because we will delve into digital twins. And we will look at that from a building level with Julian Rimmer from M. Moser, and also on a district level with Josien van der Wal from Schiphol Area Development Company. And we're really looking at how digital twins can transform real estate, to look at optimal use, optimal changes, and everything that they learned in their actual daily work with digital twins. My name is Charlotte de Mos, and this was No Stone Unturned by Savills.